Welcome to Cares Everywhere. It's me, Anthony Brown, aka the Ghetto Practitioner. What's really fascinating about today's show is I get to be my own guest. I get to share what's going on, why I'm doing what I'm doing, and the results of the combination of both of those. It's really fascinating that for a long time, and as you know from my history and from my other podcasts and from my books and other appearances, a lot of times I focused my journey on my past and how it became the firm foundation to who I am today. And I want to elaborate a little bit on that because I know that even though I have hosted other guests and we talk about things ranging from mental illness to homelessness to substance use, all of these other combination factors that leads individual or keeps individuals into the state of homelessness. And I just want to elaborate a little bit with you personally about why I do what I do and what's been going on with me. And here we go. This is great. Maybe I'll keep this in the archive so that many years from now I can always reflect back on something that I said out to other individuals out there. My past is my past. There's absolutely nothing I can do about it. And when you're reflecting back on your past, come to realize that there's really nothing that we can do about it. We can acknowledge it and accept it and learn from it, but there's no way we can change it. And so when I talk about my past, whether it's from the childhood abuse, whether it comes from the neglect, whether it comes from the periods of drug addiction or incarceration or, the struggles going through college, all of that, those are just glimpses that I get to look at, but not necessarily have to live in, that allowed me to become who I am. Now, a lot of times, the reason why I do these shows and the reason why I share openly about what's going on in my life is I want other individuals to realize that no matter where you come from, you can still get to a place where you want to be. And I say the word want because a lot of times we'll think about it and we'll want it, but then it's required work to get to that point. And that's some of the stuff that I illustrate. For instance, when I first started my journey, well, I was born on the journey, but when I first acknowledged and recognized that I had a purpose in life, it was at, I would say, roughly 1999, and that's quite a few years ago. But I realized that whatever was going on in my life at that time wasn't beneficial. Now, for some, that takes a while to actually identify and recognize and even acknowledge that what is working is not working. The lifestyle that I was living was not conducive to growth as an individual. Spiritually, I was hurting. Financially, I was hurting. Materialistically and socially, I was stunted. I came in with nothing, and I realized, and I can recognize now through education and therapy and all that other stuff, that there was reasons why I became emotionally stunted. But again, I'm not going to live in the past. I'm just going to show you that your foundation is really important, and other people have went through similar situations and yet was able to rise above it. And some people have been through similar situations and still get stuck in it. And so the message that I'm doing on this pretty much solo talk, or revealing who I am and what I do and why I do and things like that, is for those who appear to be stuck, whether it's in the old lifestyle or whether it's in education or whether it's even at a job or even in a relationship. If you're stuck, one of the things I've discovered is ask yourself why, and be honest with yourself. There's a statement in some of the places I travel called, and it pretty much goes, to thy own self be true. Okay? Regardless of what your situations and your circumstances is a revelation that you should realize is actually happening. You can pinch yourself, you can slap yourself, you can do whatever. to acknowledge that you are real and your situation is real. And so the thing is, if you're stuck in that rut and you want to get somewhere else, then put in the work to move. Now, a lot of times we'll get stuck at that part, the work part. Now, that physical labor is easy, making money is nothing. Okay? But dealing with those deep down emotionally painful experiences and finding solution to that is work. Is work. It's time, it's effort, and it's painful. How do I know? I've been there and I've done that. And that's why I share in my stories. And that's why I'm open and honest about it, because pain or going through pain will give you freedom, but it's not free. Okay, let me say that again. Going through pain will give you a freedom, but it is not free, because you're going to invest time, you're going to invest emotions, you're going to invest a whole bunch of tears, you're going to invest some feelings that you never even realize or never wanted to acknowledge that you're having, but it's well worth it. And so going through that, for me, I had to acknowledge that the lifestyle that I choose, and I call it a choice because everybody do have options. Once you hit a certain age in life and you're educated, you know right from wrong, you know good from bad, and everything else is a choice. Now, to choose from the environment that you're within may not give you choice to elevate into this world, but you still have choices. And one of the things I had to do was I had to make a decision, someone that I had to choose to leave that environment in order to get something new. And there is that saying that if nothing changes, nothing changes. And so I made the choice. I came from one town, went to another town, totally exposed, totally went a stranger in a strange land. I jumped both feet into something unfamiliar, and I navigated the waters through trial and error, and I got to where I'm at. But the bottom line is, I made a choice to change that environment so I can have different choices to choose from. Now, a lot of times, if you're an adult, you might say, well, then I can't do that, Anthony. I can't afford it. Well, if you keep saying I can't, you never will. Okay? Change that thinking, and instead of I can't, is I haven't had the opportunity, and when I do have the opportunity, I will take advantage of it. I see around me a lot of people saying, like, you're stuck in a job, okay? And you tell yourself, well, I can't get out of that job. I don't like the job, and I'm miserable going to the job, but I'm stuck in the job. The truth of the matter is you're not stuck in the job. You just have to go through the growing pains of doing something different. And if we have convinced ourselves that things won't get better, then things won't get better. And a lot of it, we have to start out something small like self-talk. Tell yourself you can do better. And start walking through the actions to change that thinking. I know a while ago I picked up a statement that I hold true to my heart is you cannot think your way into better living. It's best to live your way into better thinking. And that comes from a cognitive behavioral model. That comes from just stepping up to the plate, doing it, and then getting better at having things done. And so sharing all of that, when I went through my travels, and even now as a writer, and I laugh because I read the stuff I wrote. I wrote that book From Park Bench to Park Avenue. I wrote the book Ghetto Practitioner. I wrote the book, my first fiction book, by my little stuffed rabbit bunny, and it's called It's My World Now, So Deal With It. And even though writing these books, I think I took maybe one writing course in college. Okay, that's no excuse. It is what it is. I needed it just for prerequisites to keep moving forward towards my master's. But I took one writing course, and I didn't focus on writing, but I sat down and said, okay, in the beginning, somebody told me you should just write a book about your life. I did it. And once it got published and blown out all over the place, and that was From Park Bench to Park Avenue, I told myself that you are now a writer. And I just started writing another book. Are they bestsellers? Not that I'm aware of. Is it nationally acclaimed? Well, one book did win an award. But the thing is that prior to that, I'd never written before. Everything in my life that I have done as far as profession is geared towards nursing. And so I decided, I'm just going to write a book. I wrote that first book, and I believed that I was a writer. And by that belief system and by writing one book, I just wrote another. And then after that, another. And now I'm currently working on another. All of this happened not because I told myself I can't write or maybe I'm not going to be good enough. No, I told myself I am a writer. And I just started writing books. And the beauty about life is nothing's ever perfect in the beginning. We just practice and practice and practice and practice and practice until we get comfortable at what we're doing. And so walking through and doing all of that stuff, now I'm a writer. I'm known to be a writer. And I like doing it. But years ago, I'd never written anything. And now I'm doing it. Why? Not because I didn't want to do it. I did it. I wanted to, but I took the action to satisfy that want. And throughout the time and throughout the duration, and I'm still writing. But one thing I've noticed is I run into a lot of people that says, I would like to write, but I can't. Oh, what do you mean you can't? And it comes down to they just have some fear about trying something new. Well, just do it. Just do it. Whenever you choose to do something in life, it's either it's not going to be good enough or it's going to be really well. It's not like you passed or failed. It's just it takes practice because as human beings, we're not perfect. And so I share this information again because for those who have followed me, and if you haven't followed me, I've talked about my past, and I highly encourage you to follow me. You can go to my website, anthonyhowardbrown.com. You can type in my name, Anthony Howard Brown. You can type in the Ghetto Practitioner. You can type in from Park Bench to Park Avenue. You all these different places you can find out from my past that this is actually the truth that I'm telling you about today. And so becoming a writer, becoming a public person isn't really that hard. The thing that stops people is themselves. And this is why I wanted to share a little bit more insight into me as to who I am, because you see me out there and you hear and you notice what I'm doing. And a lot of times people try to figure out, I'm not trying to figure out, but people have asked me, how do you do it? And it's just, I just do. And have some belief in yourself that you can do things too. Now, moving forward, not just that whole writing thing, but there's other things that I'm able to do. Again, here I am. I'm a nurse practitioner. I have a master's degree in nursing. And for those that followed me from the beginning, you know that I started out with some trauma. I started out with some substance use. I started out with some incarceration time. And here, I'm a nurse practitioner. And it didn't happen in 1, 3, 5, 7 years. It took time because I have to clean up the wreckage of my past. But again, I wanted to get it done. I knew I could get it done. And all it took was just time and effort and the ability to not give up. Now, the travels or the trials and tribulations are coming from a person with my past to become who I am. It wasn't smooth, but what in life is smooth? It wasn't a straight line. I pretty much did a solo thing. I pretty much went to work. I went to school. I had to make some sacrifices. While other people were out hanging out, having fun, I stuck to the books because that's what I wanted. And if I wanted it, then I had to put the work in order to get the results. And granted, nothing was smooth. Nothing was perfect. I failed several classes, and that's okay. Because I get back up and I did it again. And so I share these things with people is whenever you're going through certain things and you're thinking, okay, well, I failed at this, I might as well toss the flag in. Don't toss the flag in. It's not a failure. You just got it halfway accomplished. And so I continued to do that, and I did that. And lo and behold, here I am with a master's degree and a nurse practitioner with the ability to practice. And so it just keeps going on and on and on and on and on. And it's up to me, the individual, that if I want to stop, then it'll stop. But I feel that as long as I'm alive, I have a purpose, so I continue to do other things. For instance, from my past, I discovered that I had some animosity that was unresolved. I had some mommy issues, and I needed to deal with that because something was inhibiting my growth from relationships. And so I had to do a deep dive and look into some stuff that happened when I was a little kid, and I hung on to it as an adult. And I came up with the solution once I recognized and identified and was able to clarify what the problem was. Then once you discover a problem, then there should be a solution to it. And that's the beauty. Again, let me sidetrack just a half a second. If you have any problems, it's like a coin. The problem is one side, but the other side is the solution. I believe, and I have learned to believe, that if you have any problems, somewhere out there is a solution. Now it's up to you where you want to focus your energy, where you want to shine the light from your flashlight on. Do you want to focus on the problem, or do you want to look for the solution? And that takes time, that takes work. Absolutely everything takes time and work, and this is why we're given this thing called life, because it's full of time. The question is, what are you going to do with your time? And so dealing with this relationship thing, I had to find closure on some of the stuff that I felt came from my childhood days, and it stemmed from my mother, and I come to realize that my perception of that whole situation was off. I thought that she was mean and everything else, but then as I looked at it and I did a deep dive into it, with more education, I come to realize that what she had was what she was taught, and that's what she passed on. And once I acknowledged that, it's like, okay, then if that's the lessons that she had, then what can I take from that lesson and grow from it? And so I did, and part of the solution was when I came up with the nonprofit foundation in her name, so that I can find peace knowing that regardless of what she had to offer, it can still be carried on, only in a more modified sense. And that's where I came up with the Jeanette Jones Safford Foundation. And again, I've never, and I'm always been transparent, I've never created a nonprofit before. Never. Ever. Just like I never wrote a book or I never became a nurse. But again, this is one of the things in life that you're able to do anything you want to do if you're willing to put the work and the effort in. And formulating a nonprofit and working with other individuals and things of that nature, and sometimes it's challenging and a lot of times it's rewarding. But nevertheless, it is part of it. And so structuring that and still going through it with growing pains, especially when the nonprofit is focused on a lot of stuff that we say we want to do, but yet it's not getting done. And our nonprofit is geared towards helping the homeless people. Now, I'm going to tell you, there is no financial gain. There is zero, zilch, nada financial gain when you're working with the homeless people. What do? Charge them rent? Well, when they get their life in order, but you still have the overhead to making sure that you're able to feed them and give them a place to grow, which is a roof over their head. And so I'm not in this to make a lot of money. And I laugh because a lot of people look at me and it's like, well, why aren't you in it for the money? Well, the simple fact is I believe that we should look out for our brothers and sisters. I have been homeless, so my heart automatically goes there. And then number 3, it's like when I die, none of this is going with me. The struggle is trying to keep all of this stuff until I die. That's where the pain comes in. The bills, the taxes, the utilities, and having to go to work to make sure you got money to cover all this other stuff. But the bottom line is, once it's all said and done, this thing called life will end, and none of this stuff that I put up with, I get to take with me. I smile because I always refer back to the Egyptians and, back in time when they had the pyramids and the kings and, they wanted to keep all their stuff and get buried with it. Well, then what happened several hundred years later? The body is still there, wrapped, all mummified. The soul isn't, because the person isn't leaving, and all that stuff is still sitting there. Do I know better than Egypt? No. What I do know is this: from a biological perspective, the human body is going to expire. And none of this stuff I'm going to take with me. And so I might as well utilize this time. Might as well give back. And the thing about creating a foundation is twofold. One is in honor of my mom's name, because she might not have had the abilities to get the education that I do have currently, and to understand the complexities or intricacies of growth in life, and how to foster that. And so I get to do that through the foundation. And again, I'll put it in her name just for that. And developing a foundation, again, is something new. I'm rusty at it. I'm not perfect, and that's okay, because I don't have to be perfect at everything. I just get to do it. I get the opportunity to learn from it, and I learn every day. The same thing when I learned from becoming a writer, the same thing when I learned from becoming a nurse. I'm learning now how to put together a nonprofit foundation. And a lot of times people will say, well, then it's taking you forever to get it done. Well, you know what? I have a lifetime. I really do. And when I get done at the end of the day and I close my eyes and I lay down and go to sleep, I'm comfortable with knowing that I gave it my best shot. That's priceless. That's priceless. And so here I am, again, revealing why I do what I do and how I do it. And I'll wrap it up in this last thing, which is kind of fascinating, is my spirituality, my connection. And a lot of times people might get a little apprehensive when it comes to talking about spirituality. And again, for me, there's a difference between religious and spirituality. Now, I believe, and again, this is my belief, this is what keeps me going, this is what makes me tick. I believe that there's a lot of different religions, but if you follow that specific religion, you're going to hit spirituality. There's many different hubs or spokes to the wheel, but it all goes to one central place. And I learned from utilizing my human senses, such touch, sight, hear, and all of those things, that I get reinforced to shape a certain belief. I believe that there is a God. That's me. Now, other people don't have to, but I do. I believe that he's omnipotent. I believe he's a he. Okay? Now, I have been around a lot of people, and I've heard a lot of different spiritual connections, identify certain spiritual entities, and that's okay. But what shapes my worldview is the fact that I know that there's something or someone or somewhere that's more comforting than what I get to experience here as a human being. There's more to chaos and strife and even the good things that occur when you have certain neurotransmitters fly across your synaptic gaps that makes you happy. There's more to that than meets the eye. And I look forward to that. But what guides me, not just the fact that I look forward to that, and I'm a goody two shoes, because believe me, I'm a human being and I have failures all over the place, but I'm willing to learn from it. But the fact of the matter is that I go by what my experiences are here, navigating this thing called life. I do know that there are times, and I have, and I still do, I pray a lot. I chit chat with God. That's what I call prayer. God and I, he's like my best friend. And I know, as I shared with people in the past, to culture or to nurture that friendship, it took time and practice. Before, when I first encountered what I thought God was, I thought he was more like a rescue God. It's like, God, please help me not die and I'll be okay, I'll be happy. Or God, please, help me not get arrested or something. Just rescue me. Save me, Lord, just save me. And then that matured to a God that I bartered with. I will do this if you give me that. And I went through a phase of that. Now I got to the point where he's like my best friend. I mean, he does what he's going to do. And for me, he's either everything or nothing. So all of this stuff that's happening is all part of his great design. It's just, as a human being, cognitively or I'm not mentally structured to understand the big picture all the time. I get glimpses. I'm sure as everybody else, I get glimpses of some of the things that's happening and an understanding, because that's all I ask for is just give me the knowledge to understand what's going on. I can accept it, good, bad, or indifference. It doesn't matter. I've heard all kinds of philosophical questions. Well, what if this is going to happen? What if this happens? What does this mean? What if a certain person died? Or what if, a certain situation occurred? Is that all part of God's will? I believe, and this is just me, I believe everything is put together in a strategic plan. It's just we have a finite ability to acknowledge and understand it. We're aware of it, but to understand it, much less being able to articulate exactly what it is, can be challenging at times. But there are those moments in time in which you run into another like-minded person and everything just flows. And this is my belief. Now, is it true or not? For me, it's true. Do I acknowledge everything going on or say it's all attributed to everything that I am? Yes. Yes. Because at one point in time, even now in periods, I still hear it. A lot of people say that I'm a statistical anomaly. There is no way a person who can been through what I've been through become the man I am today. A person with a criminal record, a person with a long-term substance use, a person that had suppressed childhood trauma. How is it that this person is able to become a nurse practitioner, an author, and all these other things, a person putting together a nonprofit? How does that happen? Statistically, I should have been damaged goods. But I'm not. Now granted, I am not, I'm probably not the brightest light bulb in some of the stores that you see, but at least I can illuminate the path somewhere. And I continue to do that. And this is why I have no fear of putting my life out there. One of the fringe benefits I've discovered by being open and honest is you don't have to lie about anything. I don't have nothing to hide. I don't. If you're going to use my past against me, then that's fine. But use the whole story. Keep it all together. Yes, this guy did have a CDC number, but yes, this guy has a DEA licensing for narcotics number too. This guy was a menace to society or a nuisance. But yes, this guy is helping out everybody that he encounters. Life is not just one little reel on this big old thing. It's several reels or several films, several sections that create this entirely different picture. But sometimes we get so stuck in the middle of the production that we don't get to see the whole movie. And I'm glad, I'm grateful, and I am super excited to even be part of it. Not just be part of it, but have the ability and the knowledge and the wherewithal or even the brain capacity to be able to articulate exactly what's going on. And so I had the opportunity to get out here and to say something about myself. I had the ability or the privilege or the honor to just come to you as who I am. For those who have not yet met me, this is me. I'm Anthony. Nothing spectacular, nothing. And in this grand scheme of things, I'm just a small speck. That's all I am. But I'm an honest speck. And I wanted to make this podcast. I wanted to make this production or this film just to let people know that behind all that stuff that you see, or if people get caught up at the end product, well, why is he doing this? Why is he writing a book? And why is he so much of an advocate for the homeless person? There's more to it. There's a bigger picture of where I come from, what I've done, and what I'm capable of doing, and why. The why is I want people to understand that you too can do almost anything you want. Times are crazy. It's bananas. Okay? But if you look at history, there's been other times that's been crazy and bananas. That's just the way life is. The question is, How are you able to discover that ease and comfort within yourself to understand that this is all supposed to be, that's why it's happening, and you can get through this no matter what the outcome's going to be, and who knows what the outcome's going to be. But the beauty of it is, the beauty of this whole thing is we only have to do this for a lifetime. That's the way I see it. Eventually, I'm not going to be here physically, and all of it was just one big old lesson. I hope and I pray that once this body's gone, I have learned enough lessons that I graduated to a higher course of education. And I think I'm going to, because based upon the pattern of my growth, this is where I'm headed. So I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. I'm going to continue putting things out there. I'm going to encourage and continue to invite you all that if you want to be a host on my podcast, hit me up. Let's talk about some stuff. Reach out, grab one of the books, pick it up and read it, and understand that nothing's perfect, but the fact of the matter is you are holding a book that a person did write. And the same for you other writers or wannabe writers, put it out there. It doesn't have to be perfect, but do it. Just do it. And so I'm going to wrap it up. I want to thank you all for coming to Care is Everywhere. I want to thank you for spending some time with me. I want to thank you for allowing me to have the ability to say or maybe touch one part that will trigger a landslide in your growth. Until the next time, this is me, Anthony, aka Ghetto Practitioner, and thank you for listening.